So my emotion for this paper was fear. So I titled my PowerPoint, Why Are You Scared? How would you reasonably and ethically induce an emotion in a hypothetical situation? And the ways that I would induce fear would be pictures, videos, audios, and situations with actors to promote a fearful stimulus. And I would measure fear by EEGs, MRIs, and pulse readers. Of course, in a situation where I would use actors to promote fear, I wouldn't be able to hook up an EEG and an MRI, but a pulse reader will determine the heart rate of the participants as the fearful stimulus comes to. What might be the likely evolutionary function of an emotion? So, fear is learned and fear keeps us safe. Our fight or flight instincts kick in to protect us from harm. So, it's a survival tactic. And if we didn't have fear, we wouldn't be able to survive. It shows us that if you see a rattlesnake on the floor, you don't try to pick it up and play with it, you run away from it. In what modern situation could it now be particularly helpful and detrimental? So, I used if you were to go on a hike and you saw a mountain lion, the fight or flight instinct will kick in, and it'll keep us either safe for the lion or it'll put us in danger. So if our flight instinct kicks in, we would run away from harm's way, which would be a helpful situation. And if the fight instinct kicks in, we will run towards harm's way, and it could be possibly harmful to us. So, what would Lazarus say is the core relational theme of my emotion? And it is immediate, concrete, and overwhelming danger. So, our instincts kick in instantly. Using all appraisal dimensions, it is asking me to provide two situations that could lead to the same emotion but differently. So, I chose if an individual was from the city and was traveling to New Jersey to finish a 5 mile hike, and they would see a bear in the woods, the novelty would be -5 and expectedness would be -5. Pleasantness would be -5. The responsible agent would be 0. Goal conduciveness would be -5. Fairness would be -5. Control would be -5. And certainty would be -5. Morality and self concept would both be 0 because there is no impact on either. And I used a similar situation, but the person is from New Jersey and has hiked the 5 mile hike often. So the novelty would be 5, expectedness would be 3, pleasantness would be -1 because it's never fun to see a bear. The responsible agent is still 0, goal conduciveness would be 3, fairness would be 3, control would be 3, certainty would be 2. And again, morality and self concept don't really have an impact in the situation, so they would both be neutral. So here is my feartographs. I have half intensity and full intensity of fear, and the key mechanism is when our inner brows and outer brows raise, our upper lid on our eyes raise, and our lower lid tightens up. Our lips stretch and our jaw drops. So the two display rules in my half intensity picture is my inner brows raising and my jaw dropping. And asked me to compare an emotion from my parents and siblings and I used two different situations, jump scares and seeing a bear, which is both really common in my household. So if there was a jump scare, my mom doesn't really scream, but she'll try to hit you. Same with my dad. He'll try to hit you, but he screams really loud. My sister will yell and run at you, and my other sister would not yell or punch. She kind of just jumps away. And I don't yell, but my reflex is to just kick my legs out. So whoever's in front of me is getting kicked. But a similar thing that happens is seeing a bear, which also induces fear. Me, my siblings, and my mother would all run back to the car, but my dad would try to make it move by yelling at it. He's thrown footballs at the bear. I want to know if that has any correlation with like being the man of the house. And it says, what does research affect relationships of my emotion? And it's the fear of love and the fear of trust. Both of these are learned fears, and it's usually a past situation that were to affect this current situation of fear. And what are some intriguing research findings that has linked the effects of your emotion to cognition? There was a cool experiment where they put rats into two different rooms and they performed shock pairings in different tones in two rooms, but the other three rooms were not. And the result came back that after a year and a half, the rats did not forget about the fear. And when they were put back into that room, they were fearful. And it turned out to be the longest fear memory tested. It says, discuss research that has proposed any regulation strategies or interventions. And there was a study by Daniela Schiller. She researched that fear is learned and it's the adaptive function in a changing environment. And using neuroimaging, she measured any overlapping brain structures that may affect the brain, which enables flexible control of fear.